The next story I have is one more on the Iranian front. Then I want to go to Netanyahu and Israel. A lot of news there. Galibaf did make a statement 2-3 hours ago. He said he met with senior Hezbollah officials and said that support for Lebanon and Hezbollah, the resistance front, remains a red line in Iran's negotiations with the US. And they called Hezbollah, the recent Hezbollah war with Israel, a historic turning point. So he's just reaffirming what we know already, is that it is a red line for Hezbollah's a red line for Iran in the negotiations now. Nothing more.
That remains to be seen if Iran's how they're going to enforce that.
Yeah.
Will they suspend the negotiations? Will they continue the negotiations? We don't yet have a firm announcement about the next round of negotiations. I imagine it'll be sometime after July 9th, at least a proposed date. Whether it happens or not is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, and if that's going to be a red line. So I know Hezbollah's a red line, but will South Lebanon remain a red line? So another big piece of news, probably the biggest piece of news right now, and that's why we start moving towards Israel's. Netanyahu is heading off to meet Trump. He's going to be meeting him in the next couple of days. I know historically, it's especially in the last 12 to 18 months, we've seen Netanyahu meetings with Trump precede military action. But I think the dynamic has changed significantly now. Do you think that Netanyahu will have enough sway over Trump where this meeting could lead to something stupid again?
Oh, yeah. Never underestimate the power of stupidity. Absolutely.
Are you looking at maritime trackers, Larry?
I'm checking it out right now to see if anybody's going through. Yeah, no, Netanyahu's going to try to persuade Trump, but now there is one disturbing element. So we've had the news that the B-52s that were in England, they pulled out, they headed back to United States. That the F-15s that were in Jordan, I think. At Muwafiq al-Salti Air Base, they've flown from there back to the UK, which means they're withdrawing. But then I heard today there were reports that at least 6 A-10s have flown into Jordan. And so that's worthy of concern and alarming, because those A-10s would be the ones most likely to be used to attack Iranian boats in the Strait of Hormuz that are trying to take action against wayward ships. So,
and we've got the USS Boxer as well.
The USS Boxer.
I'm joking. Yeah. I'm joking. But yeah, it's
when you got that, all I think of is some guy in his underwear. Okay, the USS Boxer.
But but on that front, this is why it's been mixed messages on the military presence in the region. And no definite moves either way, so that's why it's been a bit.
Well, if Trump decides, okay, we're going to take action to force Iran to stop interfering with ships taking the Omani Passage, then that's going to lead to further attacks on the remaining U.S. air assets in the region, and I would say this next go round would be much more intense than what we've seen previously.
Yeah, I'll give you an update on the Strait of Hormuz. I always get that update for you. So we know yesterday the Omani side got closed up for whatever reason. To today, where are my notes? So, all right, I deleted them. Oh, I got a report anyway. So the Strait of Hormuz, there was about, in the last 24 hours, again, the same number, about 30-something ships have gone through Iranian and Omani side, which has been the same number for the last 4 or 5 days, a third of what it was before the war, and about about half of what Trump is claiming. And yeah, a third of what it was before the war, half of what the White House is claiming. And there's also one piece of news related to the Strait of Hormuz, is there was one escort of ships. So there was one escort that was done, I think, yesterday or today. So nothing too major as part of those 38. But the one piece of news is Medvedev making a statement. He told the world Iran has 2 maritime weapons and one of them hasn't been used yet. So he's claiming that they have Oh, okay. So he's not an actual weapon. He's talking about. He's saying that Iran has two big weapons. One of them is the Strait of Hormuz, and the other one is the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. So he's reminding everyone that there's still that other weapon that the Iranians have not used. Sorry, I thought I misunderstood his statement. So nothing that we don't know, but this is just a statement that Medvedev made. Now I want to go to the meeting between Netanyahu and Trump. I think this one's important because all eyes are on what happens afterwards. And there's been a speech that was given today by Netanyahu as well. And I want to play the first clip, if you can play that, Stephanie. That was about when Netanyahu was asked about Israel's permanent state of war, Lebanon, Gaza, etc. How it's always in a war, in a permanent, in a forever state of war.
Just put a pin in this piece of the conversation. What do you say to critics who argue that Israel has embraced sort of a permanent state of war, and that there's not really an end game here, because they point to places like Gaza and say that Hamas, is still in power. They haven't laid down their arms. What do you say to those critics who accuse Israel of being in a permanent state of war?
Oh, we're not in a permanent state of war. I myself, with President Trump, we brought forth 4 peace deals. That's what we did. It's the Abraham Accords. And I believe with the weakening of Iran, which has been achieved by our common action, our common military action, I think we're going to get more because countries would like to align with us and to protect their future and also their prosperity. Israel is a powerhouse. I mean, it's an engine of innovation, of AI, of quantum, of just of everything. So I don't see that. But I'll tell you one thing. I think that the Lebanon deal has shown that we have more cards to play. Okay. Lebanon would like to free itself of Hezbollah, these Hezbollah terrorists who are, making their life miserable. And it's not only the Christians in Lebanon who ask for our protection. It's the Druze, it's Muslims, the Sunni Muslims, and quite a few of the Shiite Muslims too. Okay. So they'd like to free Lebanon. I hope we can get more peace deals. And I can tell you, if you want to have peace, you better be able to protect yourself against those who want to annihilate you. We do that. But in defending ourselves, we're defending our common civilization, the people who chant death to America. Last point, Jackie.
He also says one other statement here. Let me add to it. He says it separately, I think in the same interview. He says a lot of Lebanese people, some of the Christians in Lebanon want us to annex their territory. Let me get the exact quote. That was a statement he made, that some of the Lebanese people, the Christian Lebanese people, want Israel to annex their territory.
Yeah. Hey, I want you to sleep with my wife. Hey, bring your whole football team. Yeah.
I didn't expect that one, but yeah, this is probably the best comparison. Let me find the exact quote.
Ask one simple question: how many Lebanese citizens or soldiers, military personnel, has Hezbollah killed in the last 4 months? How many has Israel killed? Israel's killed the majority. I mean, I don't think Hezbollah's killed any, but let's say maybe a few. But Israel's killed thousands. They actually have killed more 5,000 Lebanese than they killed Iranians during that 42-day war.
Yeah.
So
let me play the clip. Let me play. I found the clip of the annexing as well. If you could play that quickly, Stephanie. You're gonna love this clip, and I'd love to get your commentary on it. So the first clip, he's talking. We already heard the first clip. Play this one. So while this one's waiting to play, the first
AI and cyber expertise, Israel is the number 2 country in cyber in the world, and our technology is absurd. It's so good. The relations are not quite as they appear, and we have many friends. And I have to tell you, we also take care of our friends, especially the Christians in the Middle East. The Christian villages in Lebanon, some of them have actually asked to be annexed to Israel because we protect them against the Hezbollah fanatics who want to kill them. And we do the same things with Christians everywhere.
Well, you're leading
Christians in the Middle East.
You're touching on my next.
Yeah, killing Christians. That's what he's been doing. He's done it in Gaza.
What a crazy thing to say. What a crazy
and
thing
they're
to
doing. I mean, they've got the one Christian town there in South Lebanon that's been devastated by Israeli bombing. this
What a crazy
this
thing to
this
say.
this guy is just
There's no reports. There's
a
no
liar.
reports of Hezbollah killing Christians. No reports. Like again, as coming from a critic of Hezbollah, no reports whatsoever. Hezbollah has alliances with Christian groups. There's no religious hatred, disagreement. There's no issues whatsoever between the two. Lebanon has a Christian president, has a big Christian population, 30-something%. It was more before the Civil War. No issues whatsoever. Churches, it's a Christian and Muslim country. There's no issues at all there.
Right.
So for him to make a statement like this, he's capitalizing on the ignorance of the average listener in the US that doesn't know these things. They have no idea. They put Lebanon and Iraq and Syria and Libya all in one bucket, and ISIS in the same bucket. Because why not?
Absolutely. It's disgusting. It's disturbing. But he again, I'm sure he may believe what he's saying. He may absolutely believe it's the truth.
I think he's too smart. Maybe Trump. I have a feeling Netanyahu is freaking cunning. He's cunning.
Yeah. No argument for me on that. I absolutely agree.
Let's play that third clip as well, please, Stephanie.
In the Middle East.
You're touching on my next question because a source close to the vice president's team told Politico that statement that he made reflects his view of this new political reality where, quote, the vice president sees that the ground is shifting against Israel among voters, including with younger Republicans. He's responding accordingly with nuance instead of stridency. Do you take that as a warning that if Israel were to act alone, the Trump administration would withhold its backing?
Well, first of all, it concerns me that there's that element of anti-Israel, first of all, in the Democratic Party and in the woke right. I'm concerned with that, and to the extent that we can do something to mend it, obviously I'll do it. But I find that there's something unique about these attacks, and that something is that the people who hate Israel end up hating America. And I've seen that, when they do these, these demonstrations, these protests against Israel defending itself, this tiny country defending itself against these terrorist murderers who commit to exterminate us. And we do what any self-respecting country would do. We defend ourselves. But when they do the protests, they burn Israeli flags, and very often right next to them, they burn American flags. Mm-hmm. But when those Americans who support Israel, non-Jews and Jews alike, when they do a demonstration to support Israel, they wave the Israeli flag and they wave the American flag. So I think there's a process taking place inside America, which you probably know better than me, of questioning America's traditional values and going to many places that I think challenge not only our alliance, but they challenge the traditional values that form the basis of each of our countries. And I hope that's not something that is going to proceed. I hope America changes direction. That's really what I hope to see.
And he says one more thing in that front. I want you to hear one last clip, and then we can comment on all of them. If we can play that last clip, please, Stephanie. So in this case, he's also being asked about the same topic.
Said about younger Republicans and what we're seeing with this growing radicalism on the left. Are you worried about the long-term durability of the U.S.-Israel relationship?
I worry about the trends that I see. I won't tell you that I'm not worried about it, because I think it has something to do with frankly, with the social media, with the penetration of social media that has been used and abused by countries, three in particular. And they've had, bot farms that push the stuff against America and against Israel. And it focuses on young people and young Americans. And I can't say that I'm not worried about the effect that it has. How do you combat this? It's hard, because democratic countries don't have the ability to fight this, this bot war with the same means. We are accountable. We're transparent. It's not so simple. But I think you'll see a correlation between the penetration of certain social media and the decline patriotic American feelings and support for Israel.
Okay.
It's something we have to deal with. But am I worried about it? Look, I think that our alliance is not merely based on common interests. I think it's based on common values. And as long as we stick to those common values, freedom, the right of every individual to live and not be slaughtered by fanatics, people should have free choices.
So he's asked about. So he's asked four things in those clips. You could remove it, Stephanie.
I think
He's asked about forever state of war. He's like, no. Abraham's Accords was his answer. He's mentioned about Lebanon. Our Christians want us to annex their territory to save them from Hezbollah. He talks about people that have anti-Israeli sentiment. He's like, no, those people, they're also anti-US. And then he talks about Israel being that small country protecting itself from all these big evil neighbors. And then he talks about the sentiment shift online. Oh, these are bot farms. I know there's politics and you're trying to control the narrative, and Trump does it to an extent. But do you, and I mean this seriously, like, how many Americans do you think believe those statements?
That it would side with Bibi on that?
Would side with Bibi on all these 4 points. The sentiment shift is bot farms. The anti-Israeli people are also anti-American. Christians in Lebanon want their territory to be annexed.
I'd say somewhere between 35 and 45% still.
Jesus.
But the point is the majority take the opposite view. So it could be as high as 65% opposing that, which is unprecedented. That has never been the case. Here in the United States, it's always been a pro-Israel view. So that represents a significant change. And yeah, he's right to be concerned about it.